Today, 1 year ago, I moved from Canada to Germany. Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. So yeah, today I want to talk about how 1 year ago today I got on a plane and came to Germany. And I come from Canada, and I've only been in Canada, unfortunately, once this whole year that I've been away from it. I've only visited once. Yeah. So that story goes is that 2 days ago I had my first anniversary and we got married in Canada, and then 2 days after the wedding, only 2 days, then we got on a plane and we went to Germany, and it was crazy. We decided to go to Germany because my husband is German. It's his home, and the reasons and why we stayed in Germany rather than living in Canada is just because if we lived in Canada, we would have to pay a lot more money, both for my education and especially for my husband's, because he is a German citizen, so he would have had to pay 3 or 4 times as much as I would, and it's already expensive for me. And in Germany we get free education, and so he's a student right now and I'm not working, but we're both able to live off of what he's earning as a student, which is pretty great. And then we have enough money when we can, we're even able to go and visit my parents in Canada and the rest of my family, which if we were living in Canada, we wouldn't be able to do that. We would have to take out loans for both of our schools, probably, and it would have been very difficult for him to see his family then. So better for me to see my family maybe 3 times a year, but if that was for him, then it might only be once a year. So previously I have spent time in Germany. I think the longest I spent was 2.5 months. I was living with my husband at the time, boyfriend's family, and I was trying to immerse myself into the culture and into the system. I would take the train to German classes and I was learning German, but really 2.5 months compared to years and years is not that much time, and it's not enough to really understand, especially if you're living with somebody's family and it's not your own home. That makes a big difference. And I had never spent time in Germany as a real resident. I wasn't really sure what it would mean and what differences it would be when I actually was full-time living in Germany. So here are some things that I thought of that would be really helpful if anybody is contemplating moving abroad or has moved abroad and they need some help with it. Here are some lessons that I've learned from this past year of living abroad. Away from me, it's always you. So the first one is, do not over romanticize it. It's not going to be perfect. It definitely won't be romantic at a lot of times. When I told people back in Canada, yeah, I'm gonna be moving to Germany, I'm gonna be living in Europe, they thought, oh my gosh, that's so amazing. It's gonna be so amazing. You're gonna have the time of your life. But it's not always a dream. A few days after we first arrived in Germany, we went on our honeymoon, and we actually went to Lake Como in Italy. And people were saying about how magical it was going to be. And to be honest, it was hot, it was crowded, it was not the best time I've had in my life. And I think it got I really got stuck in the romantics of it, and I thought it was going to be this perfect time, but really it wasn't. Both of us, my husband and I, were a bit on edge from both the heat and also we were just married less than a week. We had just done an international flight and then a long drive to Italy. And so yeah, we argued a lot. There were lots of times where it really was not romantic. And yeah. And now since being back in Germany and living here, it's beautiful here. But it's still a normal life. You still have to make it into your life, your normal life, and not just what you wish your alter ego self to be. Okay, so the next tip, mentally prepare for really little changes. Okay, so you have a friend that maybe you go and do this one thing with them every week, or even like every month, okay? Or maybe you have a favorite cafe or restaurant in your city, and even like your hobbies and sports that you like. For me, these things were surprisingly difficult to deal with, not having those things. And I would be like crying over the coffee in Germany because the cafes are not like American, Canadian style cafes. And yeah, I really miss my friends a lot. And it's been really difficult. It's been really difficult to make new friends, especially if you don't know the language. People can be unwelcoming if you're a foreigner. So even if you do know the language, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna get friends so easily. You really do have to work on for it. The other big thing is that there's lots of sports that I love to do in Canada, and since coming to Germany, I have not done them once. So for me, that was rock climbing. We haven't been able to go rock climbing at all because there isn't a climbing gym anywhere near to us. And the other thing is I really like snowboarding. And in Germany, to do that, we would have to drive to the Alps, which for us it takes a few hours to do, which isn't impossible. But for most Germans, doing a trip that large, you usually are gonna like stay the night or the weekend even. If you're gonna drive 2 hours, you may as well get a hotel. And then the costs of actually doing the sports like skiing, very expensive. And so we just haven't had the money to do it. Whereas in Canada, like I have all my gear. The ski hill is only an hour and a half away, and I can get a really good price ticket. But in Germany, you can't do that. The next thing that you have to be really careful about is mentally preparing for big changes. These are going to be the things like, how often are you going to see your family? Do you need to learn the language of the country you're going to? How long are you going to be in that country? Are you going to be there indefinitely? What are you going to do there? Those are pretty big changes, and those are things that I'm struggling with all the time. I don't know how often. I've been living here 1 year. I still don't know how often I'll be able to visit my parents in the coming years. I only got to see them twice this year. Next year, hopefully more. I'm hoping next year I can see them 3 times. Yeah, it's really difficult emotionally, mentally. The other big difference is the language. It's so hard to wrap your head around German. I never learned a second language in school, and so this is my first second language, and it's so different. It's so difficult. I've been working through it as fast as I can, and it's still a very slow process. Okay, so I don't want to make it seem like it's impossible or that it's so incredibly difficult to move abroad and to live somewhere else, there are a lot of benefits, and even like personal benefits for me living in Germany. Like, yes, there are some big downsides, but there are also some major benefits to this, and I think that's worth taking note of. So something that I really love about living in Germany right now is the education system is so good. I mean, I'm comparing this to my little hometown school that I went to high school in. It was difficult to be there. It makes me really upset when I hear my husband talking about his high school experience and how wonderful it was, because I did not have that same experience with high school. He learned German, Latin, and English, and Spanish. I learned just English. I had one semester of French, and I think I could have had the opportunity to take it for a second semester, but it was not mandatory to have a second language. It would have been very helpful for me now, but I never thought I would be in this situation. And another big thing, his sports class, they like had a personal trainer as like their coach. I think we had like our math teacher. There's a higher level of professionalism in the German school system, and especially for like kids. And I think that's great, and it's a peace of mind that I have that when my husband and I do have kids, that they will have a really good education. And for me, I think that makes a big difference in how I perceive the changes that I've had to go through, because I know that they will benefit from it. Okay, so another huge benefit that we have living in Germany, Canada and America, they're so huge, it's really difficult to go anywhere. You know, in Canada, I know you can drive for 6 hours and you're just 6 hours away from where you started. And I mean, yeah, you have a change of scenery, but you're still really in the same place. Whereas living in Europe, for our honeymoon, we drove to Italy. We went to Lake Como. It was like a 5-hour drive, and we drove through Switzerland. So it's really accessible to get around to places. We oftentimes take day trips just into France. The only downside about driving in Germany is that there's so many people here, and so even on the highways, it's crazy busy. Coming from like a small town in Canada, that's unheard of. Like a traffic jam on the highway. The first time I experienced that, it was so weird. Because we don't even have enough people that it would ever happen. We have too much space in Canada, whereas everything here is a lot more condensed. Another benefit of going to a new country and experiencing it is that you really do get to learn so much about the culture, and you can find other things to appreciate. You know, you have your favorite restaurant where you came from, and you can find a favorite restaurant where you're going. There's always going to be new things and new experiences coming. You can find new sports to get into and new hobbies to start. So it's really a love-hate kind of thing. It's difficult, but it's worth it, I think.